Chapter 12, Azurite Annihilation in the Stormy Creek. Steven immediately drove out of the parking lot, leaving his broken apartment behind. However, his intention at the moment isn't leaving. He's mainly getting away from the explosion that happened. He wishes he could find a place to eat ice cream, but he isn't in the mood. The only thing he could need is getting fresh air outside after going from place to place since arriving. He parked his van by the end of the road, next to the creek itself. When he got out, a bolt of thunder struck down from above. However, he ignored it as he waded into the creek itself. With the situation getting more complicated, he'd rather be alone in the rain to keep off his stress and pain from anyone. Alexis took Craig back to his place as they managed to get inside his house before it started raining. "We're here," Alexis closes the front door. "Alexis, we can't just leave him," Craig replied. "He caused an explosion around my boyfriend, who's also your brother. He's probably in his bedroom right now." Look, just because he caused an explosion doesn't mean he's dangerous. But did he ever show you he can do that? Craig remained silent, not knowing everything about Steven himself, even from last night. If he can't do more like that, then he is incredibly unstable. He wasn't like that when he hung out with you and Bernard. Please, Craig. Bernard didn't pick us up because of him. I didn't forget the last 2 days, but now it was all a mistake. Craig sighed while lowering his head. As Alexis headed up the stairs to check on her boyfriend, she stopped while closing her eyes. Your brother doesn't always believe you when it comes to times like this. We're not doing this to not believe you, since we are. She continues to walk upstairs to give comfort to her boyfriend. Craig, on the other hand, had no other option, knowing he can't come back to Steven's now broken apartment to settle things. If only he wished Steven would have stayed a little longer, there would have been a chance, but now it's over. He heads upstairs to his room, closing the door behind him. He laid on his bed, thinking of what he's gonna do with his friends in the creek tomorrow, and his side of the story in all of this. In the creek, Kelsey, JP were walking with Omar, Stax, Eileen the Sewer Queen, Sparkle Cadet, Cannonball, and Wildanessa, who is riding cheese sticks, after telling them everything that happened between them, Craig, and the visitor over the last 2 days. "I found it hard to believe a grown teen would have a pink dot on his belly button," Wildanessa said. "Like, was it crystal or something?" Sparkle Cadet wondered. "We don't know," JP answered. "Craig knows from last night, but he was with his family all day today," Kelsey added. "He couldn't text us since his parents took his phone away. I've only met him twice, and by the looks of it, last night would have been the only chance to see the truth, and Craig's the only one who knows. Though granting his family being part of his secret, I don't know what he's gonna say," Armor finished. "This may sound crazy, but after going through the war of Capture the Flag, what do you think Steven would do if he's part of the war?" Eileen asked. "What makes you think that?" Cannonball turned to the Sewer Queen. "He may be older, but he could have been different than the rest of us. It's not like he's that kind of different," Stax replied. "He was really nice to me and Kelsey back at the library. Sometimes I believe that was the case, but we've only met him for 1 day, and now we can only rely on Craig's words if he can't tell us everything," Kelsey finished. "Most of the friends haven't seen Craig since Steven arrived. Not that they didn't mind, but learning about Steven a little more would show Craig's side of the story crystal clear. Soon the whole creek is continuing to sprinkle with raindrops falling from the sky. They immediately took notice as they searched for the closest exit in the creek to go home." Meanwhile, up above the thundering clouds, 2 gems flow out of them underneath as they lower themselves over the trees. Ugh, I couldn't see through the dark clouds again. When are we ever going to get away from this? Aquamarine retorted. No matter where we go, it's always rain, Wayne, and thunderstorm, Wayne. Ruby also retorted. Couldn't we just go back to our gem homeworld instead? You know it hasn't been the same since Steven ended everything. We lost everything. Aquamarine and Ruby landed on the ground in the creek while she stomped on the dirt. We can hate Steven all we want, but we're still outcasts with no one to rely on. Ruby also stomped, causing a flame on the dirt bursting from her foot. I would do anything to end Steven once and for all, but we can't beat him. He's probably still with the Crystal Gems, who may stomp on us again, though I'm not surprised since he's family to them. If that never works if he's ever alone. They then heard walking from behind. They immediately hid behind the tree to keep their identity from anyone. They saw a person in a red poncho outfit with goggles walking all alone. With the storm continuing to get worse, his hike in the creek is nearly coming to an end. He couldn't get over losing everything after capture the flag, to where he remained solo for his own good. He stopped while looking around in the creek itself, to which the gems hide themselves from getting caught. With everyone leaving the creek, he can only imagine having the creek to himself, even if it's not what he wanted if he won. With the goggles on, he continued his hike as the wind continued to pick up. Who is that guy? Ruby popped her head from the tree. I have no idea, Aquamarine added. We've come across a lot of weird people. Let's get out of here. She grabbed Ruby's hand as they lifted themselves above the creek. Less we get into trouble, the better. Just when they flow higher, Ruby sees a vehicle that's really familiar. Wait, he pointed at the distance. Look over there. When Aquamarine flew closer to where Ruby pointed, they saw Steven's van parked on the end of the road. Just one peek of it gave them the idea that Steven is around. What are the odds of that? Aquamarine grinned. Maybe there's a chance that we can beat him, Ruby said, if he's all alone. We'll just see for ourselves. They then fused together as the teamwork will give them the advantage like before. Back at the creek, Kelsey and the gang are close to finding a way out to head home, but the wind continues to get worse. Man, it's raining hard, Campbell said, trying to focus on what's in front of him. Was it really a good idea to only have Craig keep the map? Wilderness covering herself. He's better at navigating than we are, JP answered. The creek may be big, but we're never lost, Eileen commented. Don't worry, I think I can see where we are. Armor looked closely at his surroundings, but just when he found out where they were, he saw Steven in the distance. Wait. What? Kelsey responded, only to see Steven in the distance. She became speechless, witnessing the same teen Craig has been encountering in the creek rather than in his apartment. Is that the guy he was? Sparkle Cadet started before getting cut off. Shh. Stacks covering Cadet's mouth. They slowly made their way quietly to prevent getting caught. In a matter of time, they hide behind one of the trees right before where Steven is at. Steven is sitting alone in front of the pond with raindrops pouring in. Without an umbrella, his hair and clothes are soaked. His skin would get soaked by the minute, but no matter what, it didn't bother him. His heart became more empty, with plans of going to his next destination felt so low, something he never thought he would feel at the moment. He stood up while looking at his reflection from the pond. He was nowhere near as bad as before, but with unfinished business he can't do, he can't get any better. After sitting back down, he decides to take out his phone to make a phone call. Do you think we should head to a different spot to see his face? Sparkle Cadet offered. We're not risking it, okay? Armor replied. He needs his space. I would have been more respectful of his privacy if we knew what's underneath his shirt, JP wondered. After Steven put in the phone number, he placed his hand up against his ear, waiting for it to respond. In no time at all, it immediately answered. "Hello? Garnet?" Steven spoke. "It's Steven. Steven, it's been a while since we last talked. I know, but this is important." As he continued to express the situation, the kids behind the tree remained hidden. Even if they can't hear the person from the other line, they might be able to hear what Steven said to Craig last night. "He has a friend named Garnet," Eileen whispered. "I doubt he or she is his friend," Campbell added. "There's a lot more to why he's here, wilderness of being suspicious. Garnet might be more than a person. And then last night, I showed Craig my gem." Steven stopped himself while trying to calm down. "I didn't know what to do, but he promised me to keep this a secret between us." "Anything else?" Garnet responded. "I accidentally made an explosion in my apartment while I was above his brother, and that's where everything turned upside down." After expressing almost everything that happened, Garnet from the other line took time to process. She knew it was a matter of time Steven would get himself in a predicament, but she still wasn't happy about it. "Steven, I know this won't be easy, but you know for a fact you're not done with this kid. Garnet, even if I tried to make up for what I did, what can I do for Craig? Before you left, Greg told me about you wanting a normal life. We didn't know how to handle the situation, but we agreed that moving out of Beach City is best for you. True, it's just, I didn't think anyone like Craig would be this curious of me when no one else would. You can't escape people's curiosity, you're always gonna deal with obstacles along the way. When the time has come, you may be able to work things out with him. Knowing how Garnet can only see the future if she knew what Craig looks like, Steven can assume the most of his chances being minimal. I'll try to think of a solution, but it won't be easy. I know you can do this. Okay, I'll call you later when I get the chance. Meanwhile, Aquamarine and Ruby have been fused into Bluebird Azurite. They flew above the pond with Steven hanging up his phone call with Garnet. "There he is," she grinned. Steven put his phone away while standing up. "Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is go to Craig's house, work things out, and hopefully his parents will allow me to sleep over." As he took a deep breath, not forgetting what he did to his brother, the only thing he could do is focus on setting things straight with Craig. But before he turned around, Bluebird appeared out of the blue. "Here's Bluebird," she shouted, causing Steven to fall on his back. The kids behind the tree couldn't believe what they're seeing. A floating, unaligned gem with a sword in her hand wasn't possible, but it is. "That looks amazing," Sparkle Cadet commented. "Her wings are made out of water," Eileen added. "Look at her face," Kelsey replied. "Maybe this is what Steven told Craig about last night," Armor said. "Can this get any bizarre?" Wilderness asked. As Steven got back up, he couldn't believe he encountered Aquamarine and Ruby again after they left Beach City in defeat. But then again, they cared less whatever consequences happened to them. "You," he reacted. "Yeah, duh," Bluebird replied. "What are the odds that we would meet again? 1 in a million, but seriously, I'm not in the right mood. I had a rough afternoon." "A rough afternoon? That only gives us the advantage." "No," Steven reacted. "I'm not the same savior of the universe from before." "Why? Because you lost your touch on saving all the gems to the point you leave your family behind?" Steven's fist clenched, which causes his gem to glow. "I'm telling you, you got it all wrong." "I still love where this is going." She stared at his gem. "You can make excuses all you want, but you know you're never gonna stop us from hating you. In fact, I'm surprised you're more of a smelly baby with his 3 mommies. Steven glows pink, catching the attention from the kids, but the moment Steven activates his shield, the mind is blown forever. Leave me alone. Make me. She flowed towards Steven as he got out of the way. Man, she can fly, JB took notice. Steven immediately ran towards Bluebird as he jumped in the air, hitting her with his shield, but she dodged. She uses her ice cutlass to throw ice projectiles at Steven. The kids saw the cryomancy magically appear, not fooling them in the slightest. I thought I've seen everything, but this defies all logic, Cannonball replied. They're getting away, Stax pointed as Steven chases Bluebird through the creek. As the kids followed the two, the rain poured harder with thunderstrikes becoming more common. The leaves from the trees moved rapidly with the wind blowing harder. It wasn't stable for any child to be outside, but the group refuses to leave until the battle was over. Meanwhile, the guy in the red poncho heard the ground being sliced in. When he turned to the direction of the action, it was hard to see with the amount of trees in the way, but he saw a flying blue person despite that. He immediately ran on the trail heading to where the action's taking place. Steven holds onto one of the branches after dodging more ice projectiles. He threw his shield at Bluebird only for her to dodge again. Just when Kelsey and the others tried to catch up, Stax noticed the shield being thrown at them. Look out! She pushed Kelsey down on the ground as the shield flew above them and back to his location. The shield went through the branches and back to Steven's possession. You're making a huge mistake, Steven continued to glow pinker. What mistake? Bluebird flew right at his face. You have no one to go to. What's stopping me? She sliced the branch with her ice cutlass that Steven held onto. Steven hit the ground on his side, giving him a bruise on his arm. Ugh, he grimaces in pain. I do have somewhere to go. I'm traveling. Then maybe you should have traveled with your family like a family's little crybaby. This caused Steven to look up as he got back on his feet. He launches himself at Bluebird up against the tree really hard. The impact was so hard, it caused the kids to trip down, similar to what happened back at the apartment, only this time it was more powerful. The sound of the impact was heard all over the neighborhood of Herkleton. They assume it was the thunder strikes creating collision to the ground, but the destruction isn't anything what they thought. Craig in his bedroom remembered that noise as he got out of bed. He looked out his window and saw a flying blue person far in the distance. A gem? He blinked only to remember what Steven told him last night. A gem! He immediately ran out of his bedroom and headed straight downstairs. However, from the sound of his voice, it caught the attention of Bernard and Alexis, who popped their heads out of Bernard's bedroom. Craig? Alexis reacted. When they got downstairs, they saw Craig putting his rain jacket on. Craig, what are you doing? Bernard panicked. I'm going to the creek to see what's going on. Craig opened the front door. Craig, it isn't safe outside. Craig ignored his brother as he headed out just before Alexis grabbed him. Craig, she shouted as Craig ran across the street. Alexis, I have to stop my brother. He put on his shoes and rushed out to chase his brother. Bernard, she called, just stay inside where it's safe. Back in the creek, the person wearing the red poncho finally made it to where the action's taking place. But he still distanced himself to prevent getting hurt. When he watched the action, he took out his phone to record it. Through his screen, he witnessed Bluebird's cryomancy launching at Steven, who blocked it with his shield. His glowing pink skin took him by surprise, as if it gave him the impression that he isn't human like he is. Steven landed on the ground again, but he continued to get weaker with the rain getting in his way. He sneezed while the cold got to him. Soon Bluebird bumped into him just when he lost his balance. "What's the matter, Steven? Has the weather driven you away?" Bluebird taunted. "You're getting more drained by the second." "I just," Steven painted, "want to make things better here." As the red poncho continued to record the moment, Kelsey and the others from the other side of the area witnessed Steven slowing down as Bluebird pushed him to the ground. Meanwhile, Craig ran as fast as he could in the creek while wearing his hood. However, Bernard managed to follow him just before he lost him in the creek. "Craig, come back to the house," he shouted. "No," Craig responded as he got close to the noise. Thankfully, he came across the ice projectiles that were sliced through the ground. When he looked at what was in front of him, he's in complete shock to see Steven on the ground defending himself with his shield while witnessing another gem, but way more different. "You can't always make everything better without the help of the crystal gems," Bluebird lifting her ice cutlass at him. "What's left that you can possibly turn anything around?" As she uses hydrokinesis with the raindrops gathering together, Craig rushed to the gem just before Bernard grabbed him. He jumped onto Bluebird, causing the hydrokinesis to collapse. "Leave him alone," he grabbed her ice cutlass. "Get off of me," Bluebird losing her position. "Craig?" Steven slowly gets back up. All of his friends were shocked to see Craig come to the rescue out of nowhere. He can't be able to put her down with the strength of the gem lifting her back up. "Why, you little..." Steven hit Bluebird with his shield after throwing it at her, just when Craig took notice by getting out of the way. Bluebird crashed in the branch, landing in the puddle, causing Aquamarine and Ruby to unfuse. Craig landed on the ground on his knees, with mud on his pants while almost getting hit. He didn't need any more proof of what a gem is. When he turned to Steven, he didn't expect to come to his aid after the separation. But then again, he didn't separate him by choice. He walked up to Steven as he stared at him, even in pink. Bernard saw the whole thing. He feared his brother was about to get hit, but is in relief that it didn't happen. But he still keeps his distance from him in case he explodes like last time. Steven, after walking up to Craig closely, his pink glow went away. With tears in his eyes, he picked up Craig and gave him a hug. "You saved me," he responded. "That's how I do it in the creek," Craig replied. Steven took notice of the kids who saw everything. When Craig also took notice, they broke the hug as he landed on the ground. "Craig," Wilderness spoke. "Is this what you've been feeling all this time?" Sparkle Cadet asked. "Yes," Craig nodded as he showed everyone Steven's gem. "But there's more to it than what you saw." Steven couldn't hide his secret from anyone anymore, and during the fight in the storm, he gave up. It got darker in the creek as it caught everyone's attention. "Can I sleep at your place?" Steven wondered. "Sure." Craig let go of Steven's red shirt. "You can sleep on the couch in the living room." "Thanks." Steven and Craig walked together to find his van, while Bernard slowly backed away. He decided to walk home rather than taking Steven's van in case something bad happens. "It's gonna be a long time until we know him more," Ormar commented. "Yes," JP added. "Let's get out of here." With the kids heading home for the night, Aquamarine and Ruby got out of the puddle while dealing with the defeat, due to a kid they never met. Of course, that also means the profile is no longer low. "I can't believe that brat of a kid stopped us," Ruby exclaimed, getting the mud off of her. "We would have defeated Steven for good," Aquamarine added. "If Steven finds more reinforcements other than his family, he may outnumber us again." Little did they know, the Wet Poncho was standing right behind them after he put his phone away. When the two gems looked at him face to face, it didn't faze him nor afraid of what he was. In fact, he was impressed. Steven parked his car in the driveway of Craig's house. They rushed to the front door with the thunderstorm staying around through the night. Craig closed the door as he took off his rain jacket. Steven had never felt this soaked in such a long time. His shirt, pants, and his socks, not a single spot in those areas was dry. Craig takes Steven up to the bathroom for him to use the towel. Bernard and Alexis saw what's happening in the bathroom. They saw Steven dry himself with his towel while Craig took out his pajamas from Steven's luggage. Even if his clothes are still dirty, he'll clean them up during the laundry tomorrow. As he's all dried up, Steven gets into his pajamas. They head out of the bathroom, heading back downstairs and entering the living room. Craig took out a spare blanket for Steven to sleep in as he laid himself on the sofa. "Here you go." He hands Steven the blanket. "Thanks," Steven responded. "So, what do you think we're gonna do?" "Probably need more time to work this out. There's a lot to take care of." As Steven smiles, he covers himself with a blanket. "That's fine. I'm not leaving anytime soon." Craig also smiled as he left Steven alone in the living room. Just when he heads back upstairs, Bernard and Alexis stop him from heading back in his bedroom. "Were you out of your mind?" Bernard whispered. "He can't sleep here. He's gonna explode like oil," Alexis added. "It's gonna be alright," Craig said. "I know it's crazy to do, but I couldn't just leave him all alone." "We don't even know who he is inside," Bernard panicked. "This is nowhere near what we expected from him." Craig remembered his brother didn't get all the answers during the meeting. However, he's not gonna pressure him like his brother did. "True, but maybe you should stay away from him for a while. He needs me more than you, and I'm not saying that to get back at you." "He's right," Alexis commented, "though the last 2 days haven't been the same." "Everything hasn't been the same," Bernard replied. "But yeah, I need some space from him, so I'm probably gonna hang out with my friends." "Should we tell them that Steven's staying?" "I'll make up my mind in the morning." "Okay, I should probably leave. I'll drive you back." As Bernard offered to his girlfriend, Alexis headed straight down by the front door. Before he headed down, he looked at Craig. "Craig, I'm sorry for not believing you." "It's fine." As Bernard takes Alexis back to her apartment, Craig heads straight to his bedroom to go to bed. He doesn't know what his first goal is for Steven, but he'll make sure he'll do whatever it takes to work things out with him, especially learning more about his life as a gem. Meanwhile, the Wet Poncho took Aquamarine and Ruby to his place. After entering his bedroom, he placed Aquamarine and Ruby on his beanbags. Finally, some shelter of some sorts. Aquamarine relaxed herself. "Who are you?" Ruby crossed her arms. The Wet Poncho took off his hood while taking off his mask, revealing his face with a lightning strike from his window. "I'm Xavier, the former king of the other side of the creek and Craig's worst enemy. That kid who attacked us is Craig?" Aquamarine responded as Xavier nodded. "I've got a feeling this is the beginning of a new friendship."